Is good. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the School Choice team for a live question and answer session for the 2023-24 School Choice application period. Our team is really excited to hear your questions today and ready to take your questions about the School Choice application process and the different options that we have here in Hamilton County Schools. If you have questions regarding School Choice, please add those to our chat box, and we'll make sure that our group of panelists can respond to them. And so our panelists that we are about to introduce will give you all specific information about your questions. And so we're actually going to get started with our introductions. And so for our panelists, we have with us Jim Boles, we have Kelly Coffelt, and we also have Kelsey Oliver. So hi, Jim. Can you tell us a little bit about your role in the school choice process?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Boles. I'm the Director of Access and School Choice, and work closely with several other entities from across our district, from charter to family engagement and on. But my role ultimately is to hopefully help guide the lottery process and promote choice for our students to hopefully match them with what fits them best as they move toward their desires as they move up into high school and whatnot. And so we have several different categories of school choice that would be outside your normal zone school that you're zoned for, from magnet schools that we know are have a specialty program that might be wrapped around the arts or paideia or performing arts. We also have open enrollment, which is for schools that might not be at capacity at this time. And then we have future ready institutes, which you'll hear much more about today. But that is specified around lots of different areas. Again, we have some people who are specialized in that area to tell you about that today. And then early college and career opportunities that might be work-based learning or even early college prep kind of options for you. So we're excited to bring that to you today, and we've got a lot of well-informed people here to help you out.
So great, Jim. It is great to have you with us. And Kelly, could you tell us a little bit about your role in the school choice process?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kelly Coffelt. I am the coordinator for the charter schools that we have operating within our school district of Hamilton County. We currently have 8 charter schools operating, and I work to make sure they are linked up with the district in any way they need to. We also do oversight and evaluation for those schools, and that is another option that you have in Hamilton County.
At our backstage people.
Ms. Clark, do I go ahead and talk about those schools, or does that come later?
Okay. Thank you so much, Kelly, as well, for being with us today. And Kelsey Oliver is here with us representing our Future Ready Institutes. Hi, Kelsey.
Hello, Angela.
So, Kelsey, can you tell us a little bit about your role with Future Ready Institutes in the school choice process?
Yes, so with Future Ready Institutes, there are 28 institutes across Hamilton County, each of them at all 13 of our zoned high schools. And the process for that is every year, at least 25% of the positions for 9th graders are offered to out-of-zone students that are allowed to then join in to a Future Ready Institute that may not be at their zone school. There's transportation provided, and the special programs not only allow students to be a part of programs they may not have had at their zone school, but also prepares them to be truly future ready when it comes to their profession, as most of our future ready institutes are focused solely on career and college exploration and moving past just your basic offerings of CTE.
So Kelsey, thank you so much. And thank you all of our panelists for being with us today. And we have some great questions to start off with. And so the first question, and Jim, I'll pose this to you. So as a parent, how do I apply for school choice and how do I get to the application? Can you walk us through that?
Sorry about that. Yes, absolutely. The best way to do that is go to the Hamilton County Department of Education website, which is hcde.org. And in the middle of the page, you will see an icon for school choice. And if you will click on that school choice icon, that will take you to our school choice main page. And what you will want to do is scroll down to about the middle of the page where you will see the title Choose Hamilton, First Round of Choice Lottery Applications is Open. And you'll really see 3 different links there on that site. The first one is the current HCS students application link. So that is for our students who are already in our county. That might be a present kindergartner all the way up through 11th grade who can apply for a school choice for the coming year, for this 2023-24 school year. It will ask you for your power school number and things like that as you enter. But if you are new to our district, you really want to use the link that is next, which says new to HCS application link. Okay. If you are brand new, this could be a rising kindergartner coming in, or it could be someone who is from out of state coming in, or it might even be someone who's coming in from the private sector. Someone who has not been a Hamilton County student yet would use that new to Hamilton County schools application link. And then we always have, we do have a link there for anyone who needs it in Spanish. And there is also some ways that you can take the regular application and get it translated for you by some clicks of the button that have some instructions on the application. But so just to sum that up, you would go to Hamilton County Department of Education, hcde.org. On the home page, click on school choice link. That will take you to our home page for school choice. Scroll down to the middle of the page and you'll find the appropriate link for you.
Jim, thank you so much for that information. And I'm also excited to say that also located on our Hamilton County School Choice page is a how-to video which walks families step by step of how to complete the application. So that is a great resource and help for our families. And so, Jim, I do have one question for you. So for our families who aren't new to the district, but going through Power School to complete the school choice application, what would you recommend for parents who may need some assistance with their Power School access information?
Yeah, so they could definitely go in through the Power School portal as well, which I know we have a lot of families who are very fluent in that and probably access that regularly. But if they don't know their Power School access code, the best way really is to call the school itself. And typically the school secretary can help them with that. If they need to reset their password, they can do it there. And then if they can't get satisfaction through the school secretary, they're more than glad to call our office here at 498-6762.
Awesome. That's great information. And so, Kelly, for you were really big on supporting our families with school choice through this process last year. For families that have already applied for school choice, do they need to reapply each year in order to get a selection?
Sure, that's a great question that a lot of parents have. And you do not need to reapply each year. What you do once you are in your school of choice, you will just do the registration process that everybody does when it opens up in the spring and summer and return to that same school. If that is your choice for the new year, just go ahead and register for that. You do not need to do a new school choice application if you want to remain in your current school of choice.
Okay. So Kelly, another question which is similar to that is, so as a parent, can I apply for other schools, or will it affect my current placement if I'm already in maybe a magnet or a feature-ready institute?
That's another great question that parents often have. It does not affect your current standing at your school, no matter where you are attending. If you decide to enter the lottery, it does not affect your standing at all if you're in a school choice or a zone school, wherever you happen to be. The only time that it does affect that is if you are made an offer and you accept that seat, and then you will be expected to enroll and register with that new school come registration time.
Okay. And so this question is for Kelly or Jim. I've seen on our Hamilton County Schools website where there is a list of different schools and available seats. Could you explain that a little bit, and why I as a parent may not see the grade that I want to choose on the application?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So what you'll see is a spreadsheet there at the bottom of the page that shows where those seats are available. So that varies from school to school, where they may have a class that is extraordinarily large and they cannot seat students in that particular area, or they might have a group that's a little bit smaller. I know we always have some CSAS and CSLA specific questions that I think may be coming here shortly, but some of these are specified by the program that may be offered, with whether it be a Future Ready Institute, like Kelsey was mentioning earlier, by grade level, or it may just be the availability of seats that are available at that school.
So Jim, I am really glad you brought up about our Future Ready Institutes. And so Kelly, or actually Kelsey, a question for you. Can you explain the difference between a Future Ready school and an open enrollment school?
Yes. So an open enrollment school is going to be any of your schools that have available seats within their building, whereas a Future Ready Institute school is specifically going to allow a student to go into a specific pathway that is CTE, or career and technical education based. So with that, we're looking at technology, we're looking at the culinary arts, we're looking at hospitality and tourism, we're looking at all of these different programs of study that are specifically Future Ready Institute based, whereas an open enrollment school would include any of our high schools, our charter schools, all of the different options, virtual school that are within the county. Future Ready Institutes are specifically 28 institutes seen across 13 of our high schools.
Okay, so if I, as a parent, choose one particular school and then I submit my application and I decide, oh my gosh, there are so many more options out there. Jim or Kelly, can I change my application once I've submitted it?
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yes, absolutely. You would just contact us either by phone or our Choose Hamilton at hcde.org email. Our phone number 498-6762. And we can change those choices for you until the lottery is actually run. So if you decide you want to add some schools or take off a school, we can help you with that. The parent isn't able, or the guardian is not able to change anything on the application once it is submitted, but we're happy to assist you with that.
Okay, and so I understand that there are 5 options that I can list on my school choice application. Does that particular order matter? Should I put the best school that I want as number 1, and then maybe the one that I'm still wavering on towards the end?
It really doesn't matter. It's not by priority necessarily. So it does not matter the order that you put them in.
Okay. And so one of the biggest questions that I have seen with our Future Ready Institutes, Kelsey, is if I get in, kind of similar to the question that Kelly answered, but if I get into a Future Ready Institute, can I change to another one if I don't like the choice I've made?
So when it comes to the Future Ready Institutes, once you make your decision to be at that school, you're committed for that year that you got into that Future Ready Institute. So if it turns out that you wanted to change institutes, you could potentially look at doing that for your sophomore year, but we would again fall into you would be going into a freshman cohort. So it's not that you can't move after that first initial year. It's that you would fall a little behind. So we would want to try and make our best decision before our freshman year.
Okay. And so in the process of choosing amongst these different options, whether it's a magnet school, a Future Ready Institute, open enrollment school, are there any opportunities for me to visit some of these schools and learn more about them before I submit my application?
Absolutely. We also have a spreadsheet on our school choice webpage as well that has the tour opportunities that schools are offering. Some of those have already happened and some will be coming. We've asked that schools have some options both in December and January for that. And then there are some schools that it's best to just contact the school itself if you're not seeing information on that spreadsheet. Please feel free to call the school and tell them that you're interested in that school and that you'd like to maybe ask some questions or come by and even take a little tour. And I know that most schools are more than willing to do that and to spend some time with you sharing about all the wonderful things that they have to offer, because each school is unique and has excellent things to offer. So be sure to check that out on the school choice part of the website.
And so in choosing which school to kind of put on that list of 5, probably the biggest determining factor parents will have is their transportation. So Jim, can you talk a little bit about transportation options for the different schools, whether it's Magnet, Future Ready, and our open enrollment?
Yeah, this is always a big question, and I appreciate whoever asked that question for asking it, because it's a little bit different for each area. Magnet schools do have satellite bus stops, if you will, that are located all over Hamilton County. And so the idea is that you have to get your student to that particular bus stop for them to be able to ride into their magnet school. I'm just going to use an example. Some of them are at actual schools, but I can use an example of there being one there at the parking lot of the Highway 58 Food City. That's just an example of a satellite location to be able to get to where you need to be. If you're an open enrollment student, though, the transportation is not provided. When a parent accepts their seat at an open enrollment school, they are saying that they can and will transport their student to that school. So we do not provide for open enrollment. And then Future Ready, I'll let Kelsey talk, but Future Ready has some options for some similar satellite type locations for Future Ready institutes. But Kelsey, I'll let you talk about that.
Yes. So when it comes to Future Ready Transportation, we actually have a hub, kind of a bus transportation hub that feeds out of the STEM school on Chattanooga State's campus. So your student would get a bus at one of the satellite sites, and then they would be transported to the STEM school, where they would then get on a bus to go to their designated Future Ready Institute site.
And charter schools also offer transportation. That is something that the charter schools did do for themselves is they do run their own transportation. It's not Hamilton County Schools buses, but they do offer their own transportation from the charter school, and that's arranged through the school directly.
Okay, these are some really, really good responses, and I'm sure our families appreciate the information regarding transportation. One specific question from Facebook is, we have one student in Central and Harrison Bay Future Ready with a hardship. Do we need to do a school choice form or hardship form to get our other son in the same school?
That's a great question. So the answer is you don't have to do anything for your student who is already there. The answer to your other son is that you definitely need to fill out a school choice application with your desire for them to be, I'm assuming, also in the Harrison Bay Central Future Ready. So we're really trying to move away from hardships altogether. Because we have so many options in our district that there really shouldn't be a whole lot of need for hardships. We do know that there's some, there are some true hardships for that matter, but you will definitely want to go ahead and fill out that school choice application for your other son and list the school that you would like for them to be at. But so yes, so school choice, not hardship.
Okay, Jim, thank you so much for that explanation. And so another kind of specific question is, if I have a new student to Hamilton County Schools, or a reformer, if I have a new student in the district, but I also have a current student in the district, what is the best way for me to complete the application so they're both looped into the same Power School page?
I can take that one. If you have a student that has never attended Hamilton County Schools, they will fill out the new to Hamilton County Schools application. And it isn't until that student is actually registered with Hamilton County later on in the spring and summer when you register for school. And that's the time when you upload all those documents like the birth certificate, Social Security number, those types of things. That is when you'll be able to link the two student accounts on your Power School. So you won't be able to do that until that new student is actually registered with Hamilton County. So as far as the choice application, be sure you fill out the new to Hamilton County Schools application. And that would be the same too if someone had left Hamilton County for a time. Say you went and did homeschool, or you went to a private school for a time, but you had attended Hamilton County in the past, you're going to be considered a new student as well. And again, once you register, then the district will connect your student to their former records, but you will not have a Power School account until that registration time.
Okay. Another a really good question is, once I've selected my schools and I've gone through the process, how can I go back and see what I actually selected so I know what to be on the look for when the results come out?
So you should see at the end of your application process, it will ask you to print off the schools that you selected. So you should probably go ahead and print that off as well. And then additionally, you should receive a confirmation email that has your choices on there as well. And so if there is a discrepancy with that, you definitely want to reach out to our office and talk to us about that discrepancy, A, so we can correct it for you, and B, make sure we can find out why that may have happened.
Okay. And so when will the lottery be run?
So that is going to be in the second week of February. I didn't have that pulled up. We will run that on February 10th. I apologize for not having that up. So so we will close the lottery application on January 31st. Then we will run the lottery on the 10th, and then families will be notified on the 17th. So they want to, we have a verification of the email, and parents, be sure you're checking that email for that notification to see if and where your students were seated. And then you will have another week through the 24th to accept those seats.
And so all of these dates, Jim, are listed on our school choice page under the timeline, correct?
That is correct. So if you just think January is when it ends, when the lottery itself ends, and February is the month of the lottery process itself, of both running it and seeing your results and then accepting those.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit about wait lists? Like, we hear families wonder, will I be on a wait list for this school or that school when the lottery is run? Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, sure. So when you get your results, you may or may not have been seated in a particular school. So let's just say school B is where you were seated, but it was not the choice you were necessarily hoping for. You can accept that seat, and then you will be, any of your other choices, you will be waitlisted. Okay, and so there is a possibility that possibly throughout March and through the summer that seat might come open. Now, I think we need to be very realistic with families here in saying that if you're probably not within that top 10 on the wait list, and you're just dead set, you probably need to be thinking about other options. For example, I can tell you that when I came into this office over the summer, we had some folks who were, number 55 on the wait list and wanting to know if they were in yet. And just the likelihood of something that happening is just not, not there. So really pay attention to where you are on the wait list and understand how realistic that would be for you to over that time from March through August when school starts, of whether or not that's a possibility or not.
And so, Jim, when you say wait list, does that mean this wait list will carry over until next year? So my student will stay on the list? Does that process still exist?
That process does not exist anymore. Once the first day of school begins, that is shut down, and we no longer have a waiting list once the first day of school begins. And then we will start that process again in the mid-November of the following year. And so if there is a lottery for that grade level, then we'll run it again the following year. That wait list goes away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And so for some of our community that's just jumping on, please send us your questions so we can make sure that our panelists can answer some of the things that are going through your mind as you go through the school choice process. And so I have just received I've received a question for you, Kelly. Are charter school students considered current HCS students, or are they considered new to the district?
That's a great question. You are considered a part of the district if you're enrolled in one of our charter schools. So you would not need to apply as new to the district. You should have a PowerSchool account for your student that you can access. If you don't have that information, you can ask for it from your school's office. The front office should be able to get that for you. And you would just apply as a current student. And we do have some of our charter schools in our choice lottery application process this year. Some charters are doing their own application. So if you're applying to Chat Prep, CGLA, and Montessori, those schools have their own application process, but you will see seats available at the Chattanooga Charter Schools of Excellence, Elementary, Middle, and High, as well as Ivy Academy and Ivy's Skill Learn Elementary. Those seats are available on our choice lottery application. There's no difference really, except that some schools chose to be in our process and some wanted to do their own process.
Well, thank you. And so I actually want to go back to the wait list question a little bit, because often we get questions about, well, I applied to CSLA or CSAS in the past and I was on that wait list. So what's going on? So Jim, I'm going to throw this one at you. Can you talk to us a little bit about the wait list that existed at our magnet schools and just what that process is now, so our families know what to anticipate?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question, whoever asked that, because there is some confusion, I know, around it. So for many of you may know, if you're new to our county, CSAS and CSLA once had a process. It was a first in line, first come, first serve. And they started what was called a wait list. And so when you went through that process, that list did in fact move up with the child's grade as it went on. And so when the process kind of moved back to a lottery, the county, and rightfully so, upheld those lists and want to honor them as the process had gone, because some people will have waited sometimes 8 to even 10 years to get into those schools. So what has happened now is that as time moves on, those lists are dwindling. And so that's why you may not see some particular grades at CSAS or CSLA that are offered there, because we're still honoring the what we call the legacy list. And that information can be found on our website as well. But I do want to point out that when you're looking at the availability part of the website, you might see where there's an asterisk next to a number and it's highlighted yellow. So we are taking names for that, for the lottery. That usually means that grade level is really coming close to that legacy list. It could possibly be exhausted as they bring students in, and then we would jump into that list. So if you have applied for one of those grade levels that has an asterisk and is highlighted yellow, there is a possibility that that we get to those lists. Those signify creating a wait list that for just this year for those particular grades, in anticipation that the legacy list will be exhausted.
Okay, Jim, also related to magnet schools, CCA. So we know families apply and then there's an audition. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. And I want to point out too that also on the availability piece, and Kelly might want to chime in too here. She's a very knowledgeable CCA person. But you'll see that there are some schools are highlighted in sort of a purple font or color there on our availability. Those mean that there are extra steps that have to take place rather than just the lottery. So those lists will be compiled, and for CCA's part of that means that they have to go through an audition. And I know that they're currently looking at those lists and already setting up audition dates for their students. So if you see a school's name highlighted in purple, that simply means that there will be extra steps besides just the lottery. Okay. And in CCA's case, it means audition. And Kelly may have some things she'd like to add to that.
Thanks. Yeah, the only thing I'll add there is for those schools that Jim referenced were highlighted, including CCA, you actually accept the offer of a seat from the school. So you won't get an email that asks you to accept or decline for CCA or for virtual school or for collegiate high, those type programs that are highlighted. The school, because they do have additional steps like the audition at CCA, They actually make the offer to you. And then at the end of all of their process, they let us know the list of students they've accepted.
When it comes to future ready institutes, I know a lot of people ask, well, do I need to know how to weld? Do I need to know how to hold a hammer to get into construction? And to those responses, no, there are no prerequisites to being in any of the future ready institutes except for the drive and the willingness to learn.
So, Kelsey, I am so glad that you chimed in with that because I was actually going to ask you I often engage with parents and they tell me that there's so many future ready institutes, I don't know which one to choose. Is there any guiding information that you will offer our families about these great options that we have?
So every single eighth grader will have the opportunity to attend one of the 2 days of our Get Future Ready event, where they will actually start looking at all of the different pathways and options available to them at every single high school. And their counselors right now, especially if they are in their eighth grade year, are currently working with them on interest inventories and career examinations and all the different ways that they can decide what they want to be when they grow up. So that's one of the great things that's happening. Our Get Future Ready event will be taking place on January 10th and January 11th. And your students should be going with their current middle school to that event to start touring around. So we do recommend that if your student is at a school that isn't offering career interest inventories or even just interest inventories, doing some of those or even just talking to your student about what they could potentially want to be when they grow up is a great opportunity.
And so, Kelsey, is there a website, a place on our website where our families can learn more about the Future Ready Institutes? And what about counselors to support them?
Yes, so there is currently a tab on the district webpage to look at all of our Future Ready Institutes. It is currently, for the most part, up to date. We are under construction on a couple of our sites for just the local sites and the school sites for their Future Ready Institute tabs. But the district page is up to date, and any counselors that need any support can reach out to myself, Kelsey Oliver, or to Lisa Blakely, who is our Future Ready coordinator at the district level. And we can help them with resources, ways to reach out, as well as one-pagers on each and every single one of the Future Ready Institutes.
And Kelsey, we did not ask you if there are any specifics regarding waitlists for our Future Ready Institutes, but can you address that for a moment?
Yes. So, as I had said earlier, some who just jumped on may not have heard, but all Future Ready Institutes offer 25% of the amount of students that could potentially be in the Institute as options for out of zone students. So, this could be 4 spots, this could be 5 spots, 6 spots. It all depends on which institute you're going for. And how that works is once those out of zone spots are taken up, the schools then look to their in school, in zone students for who would want to be in the institute. If that number doesn't meet the cap or the max amount of students that they can have in an institute within that building, they then go to the wait list, which is just the list of students that have said they are interested. They chose the school on school choice, but maybe they weren't in that top tier of students that applied and hit the 25%. They then look back at those other students and think, okay, we have an extra spot. We can offer it to a student that's on the wait list. But just like all others, that wait list does go away after, like, once day one of ninth grade year starts, that wait list does get reset. So they can try to reapply in their sophomore year if they would like to move over to that high school and out of their zone school. But after the sophomore year, as I've stated before, for those of you that are just jumping on, after their sophomore year, they wouldn't be able to finish their program of study if they move to a different Future Ready Institute school. So we like for their options to be where they chose their ninth grade year and then a possible transition for 10th grade year.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. I do have a few questions that I want to ask about some of our other different programs, specifically looking at the virtual school. And so if a student is interested in the virtual school, can you talk a little bit about that application process and if there are any differences that our families need to be prepared for?
Let's let our in-house virtual school expert talk about that.
I'm happy to answer that one. So in the virtual school, the application process isn't really different until you get to high school. And so if you apply for elementary, middle school, the virtual school just continues to take applications until they reach their max available seats. They'll reach out to the parents, make sure they understand what virtual school is all about, that it is basically a homeschool program that is offered by Hamilton County Schools. So there's no live teaching necessarily. There might be some optional live teaching sessions, but it's a very rigorous curriculum. When you do get into high school, the counselors at the virtual school will check applicants' transcripts to be sure that they're on track for credits, because in the virtual school, your schedule is limited to certain coursework. And so we want to make sure that anybody applying is going to be on track to graduate. So that is an extra step that will be taken at the virtual school for those high school applicants. And again, they'll be in touch with the parents who apply, and they'll walk you through that process until they let you know whether your student can be accepted or not for next year.
Kelly, for families who choose to follow this virtual school path, are they committed to that for the entire school year, or do they have the option to change at some point?
They are committed for the school year, just like all of our school choice options. So once you do enter virtual school, that is your school for that school year. And that is to prevent, students from hopping around from school to school, which is really not the best for a student to have those changes. But that is a requirement for all of our schools. And you actually commit to that 1 year on the application, as well as when you register that school. Most of our magnet schools, I know virtual school, other schools have a commitment that you again make as a parent to say, I understand that I will attend for this school year.
Hey, Angela, can I add to that? I appreciate Kelly saying that all school choices are for the year. That I think that's really important, especially going back to the how do I find out about these schools and why the importance of those open houses or those tours or being sure to reach out to the school, is we really encourage our families to do that so that they know they're making the right choice. I know that they hear things from the community, they've heard this, they heard that. They need to go and check that out themselves because they're making a big decision that is a year-long decision. So I appreciate Kelly adding that's for all our school choices. And that's really why we want to create these opportunities for families to really get to know the schools and know what their decision is.
And I am really grateful for all of the opportunities that this team has shared and the district has created in order for students to identify schools where they can invest in their future. And so to mention or highlight one such option is our early college program. And so I wanted to ask, and Kelly, you may be able to help us with this, but for students who are interested in some of our early college programs, do they need to apply to that program separately, or is that something they need to do in addition to school choice?
So both of our early college programs, Collegiate High and the new University High, are available on the school choice lottery application. Then the applicant list is sent to that school for those additional steps. For instance, at Collegiate High, which is the one that is a joint collaboration with Chattanooga State, there is a tuition involved for your student going to collegiate high, as well as requirements that have to be met for GPA and coursework. So that is its own process, but you do make your original application through the school choice lottery. Likewise for University High, and Mr. Boles, correct me if I'm wrong, because we're new to University High, they make the application through the school choice lottery, but then they will be contacted by the University High staff for additional steps.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, that is correct. And again, that's one of the, and there are several other options too under the early college and career. For instance, there's with the University High, there's a interview process and some qualifications that need to happen. But we also have things like the Volkswagen academies, both for mechatronics and for the electric car areas. We've got the Stomp and Legacy Box. They're work-based learning. So there are definitely some options out there for you that have some extra steps that may be anywhere from an audition to an interview to just looking at transcripts and seeing that you're in progress of what as you should be for those programs. So for sure.
Well, we have not received any additional questions, and we're actually approaching our wrap-up time. And so I am so appreciative to this group of panelists and this informative information that they've provided. I do, as we wrap up, Jim, I'm going to put you on the spot again, because as I understand it, we have some really awesome opportunities coming up for our families in terms of support sessions and choice fairs. And so if you could share with us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I will kind of try to go in order with this. So our next event will be on December 13th, which I believe is next week, from 9 to 1. We will be out in person at the West 40th building in the John Ross room. We'll be there with some extra computers, and we'll be available to help anyone with their application if they need help to do that. We'll have that. We'll also have some translators there and people who can speak Spanish and some other languages who could be there helpful if you need that as well. And then our next event will be after the winter break. We'll come back, and you heard Kelsey mention the Future Ready Institute that all the 8th graders will be going to as part of their day field trips over at the Chattanooga Convention Center. We're going to piggyback on their event since Future Ready will already be set up, and we will be hosting a school choice fair on January 10th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. that evening. And Future Ready will be there, Charter will be there, open enrollment schools, as well as magnets. So in early college and career, you'll see all the options out there. We encourage our families to come out. And again, that's a great opportunity to kind of get to know the school that you're thinking about for your student, and to make sure you're making the right decision for your family. Then following that, we will move into January 7th. We'll do another Facebook Live just like this at 6 p.m. And then on January 23rd, we'll do another in-person support session right over here at Bonnie Oaks and Hickory Valley Road at the school board room from 9 to 1. And again, we'll be here in person. We know that we hope there's some excitement around the Future Ready Institute and the School Choice Fair. And so if the families need support with that, then we will be here to help you.
Awesome, Jim. Thank you for those. Are there any closing words, Jim?
I think for us is that we know we have so many great schools in our community, schools that work hard to meet the needs of everyone. But for us, I think we know we have so many specialized programs, so many opportunities for our students in Hamilton County that what we want to do is we really want to connect them to those programs. I've always said, when talking to students, what makes you tick? What makes you get out of bed every morning? And sometimes there are some who want to get out for that Algebra 2 class and get up and they're excited about Algebra 2 or Pre-Cal. But there's others who might be interested in the arts or interested in one of these future ready institutes. I mean, there's so many great opportunities there. I mean, how many people get to go and be in an aviation program and fly a plane like we saw? We've had some students do that through Future Ready. So, I mean, we have so many unique opportunities. We want to match the students of Hamilton County with those programs. And so to do that, it's about making sure our families know what the options are, making sure our counselors and all of our support staff are there to help guide students in the right place. So that's our goal. We want to create access for everyone so that they know what makes them tick and they know what makes them get out of bed and come to school every day and be excited about it.
Well, thank you, Jim. Those are some awesome closing words, and I echo everything that you said. And so for our community that has joined us today, thank you so much. I appreciate your time so that we can support you. And thank you so much for our panelists for being here. And I wish all of you a wonderful rest of your afternoon.